My soul waiteth upon God. From Him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain, all of you. As a bowing wall shall ye be, and as a tottering fence. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies, they bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly, Selah. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from Him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory, the rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Trust in Him at all times. Ye people, pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us, Selah. Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie. To be laid in the balance, they are altogether lighter than vanity. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. God hath spoken once, twice have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God. Also unto Thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for Thou renderest to every man according to his work. those heroes brave and bold? Where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all and stood for faith and love.
Well, good morning, everybody. And yes, Mrs. Inman didn't get me up this morning. And I'm not going to say any more than that. I am absolutely not going to say. I got myself up, and I was actually up in fairly good time. However, I created the stream about quarter to 8, and then as I was trying to add a thumbnail, I managed to delete the whole stream. So there we go. Pure professionalism in the Inman household this morning. And yes, good morning, everybody. Do me a favor, like and share this, get it out absolutely everywhere. We've got loads and loads of stuff to talk about this morning for sure. One of the reasons I was actually late this morning, this is genuine. I was up, I think I finished work at 3:10 this morning. When I get on one of my little rampages and I'm doing a whole lot of stuff, I just go until my eyes more or less close. So I was putting a mega shift in. Now, I haven't said that. I did have a bit of kit for about an hour, about tea time yesterday. So I didn't sort of pull a 24-hour or more than a 24-hour shift. But it was a pretty long shift. And it's all stuff that I'm doing for the UK freedom movement, doing stuff for the pledge, doing stuff for counter media, just trying to get everything in place, and obviously trying to work on some Christian stuff as well. So trying to get all the moving parts and the pieces of the jigsaw together, which again is chaotic. It takes time. What I'm having to do is put structures in place to protect everything that I'm doing from cancellation in its various different forms. So whether that means my personal business, trying to keep that going and protect that from further cancellation, whether it means trying to put a firewall around the different parts of what I do, that's kind of what I'm up to at the minute. All boring stuff, nothing really exciting. It's all kind of business related stuff, but it's really important stuff, because the reality is, I think 2026 is going to be a year of absolute oppression from the communists, from the Islamists, and from the globalists. They're coming after us, and it's very interesting. I was thinking last night. I'm going to play the rest of the Men of England in a minute, but I was thinking last night about the troubles in Northern Ireland and the comparisons between the troubles in Northern Ireland and what we're going through in mainland GB. But also there's a spillover from that, and again, you know, everyone's been talking about the work of David Betts and what have you. Well, in 1987, and I've said this, I'm sure I've said this on this channel before. I said it when I was chatting to Liam on his interview. In 1987, when I was serving in Northern Ireland with lads from Bradford and Keighley and Sheffield and different areas, different northern towns, that even then had large Pakistani Muslim communities. We said in 20 years' time, we're going to be, not we, but our what do you call it, people that come after you. The next generation of soldiers are going to be picking up bodies on the streets of England. That's what we said. And of course we were wrong, because it wasn't 20 years, it was 18 years. It was 2005 when 7/7 happened and radicalized nutcases, jihadists decided to blow up tube stations, buses, and murder 55 people. And again, hardly anything happens. There's, the usual mantra, the government says it's nothing to do with Islam. Okay, whatever. The government says it's nothing to do with Islam. The police start cracking down on anybody who is deemed to be demonizing Muslims and the Muslim community, and everybody's told nothing to see here. Move along, governor. There's nothing happening, which is the opposite to the truth. And then, of course, the grooming gangs, the biggest crime in British history, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think we're only touching. I was. I don't know if anybody ever seen The Godfather Part 2, it was on TV last night. I was walking out the living room, and I sat down to have a cup of tea, and there was just that one little snippet on where the mafia, he was like just some mafia hitman's on a panel. I can't remember what they call them in America, but he's been interviewed basically by the American Senate. It's a Senate committee or something where they have to give evidence, and by law they have to tell the truth, or they can go to prison, I think. So anyway, this mafia guy's sitting there giving evidence against Michael Corleone. You all know the story. You've all seen the film. And I thought, that's what needs to happen with the Pakistani Muslim mafia. Heroin dealing, people trafficking, money laundering, fraud, corruption, owning of politicians. Sound familiar? Exactly like the Italian mafia. Okay. And of course, the most heinous crime of all, the sexual abuse, rape, and destruction of a generation of white working class girls in some of those northern towns. And again, I think, we've done our bit. I'm going to give GB News a little bit of credit. They've done their bit as well. It's all stuff that we knew and we'd already published, but obviously they've got a bigger reach than us, which is great for them. But talk about plagiarism, but there you go. I'm not saying they plagiarized our work, but there's a lot of similarities. Let's just put it that way. But the reality is that when you look at the tentacles, I used to call them the tentacles of terror, and the tentacles of this mafia are in every single town and city up and down the UK where there are where there's a Pakistani community, and the Bangladeshi community to a lesser extent. They're not as involved as the Pakistani communities, but there is still a little bit of crossover, and you see, this is what people don't get. People try to conflate that the grooming gangs are synonymous with the jihadists. They ain't. This is the scary thing about this. The grooming gangs are made up of the nice, cuddly Muslims, the ones that you do business with every day, and you go and eat your curry. You go and eat your curry in their curry houses. So it's not the we're not here to take part, we're here to take over crowd, right? There are connections, but they're not totally linked, right? So you've got the absolute nutcases that will strap something to their chest and walk into a train station, get on a bus, and blow themselves to bits. Very small number of them, if the truth be known. When I say a small number, I'm talking about comparatively with the rest of the crazies, right? So you have a very small number of people who are actually jihadists. The ones that will actually do it, not going to be any more than probably 5%. So it's not really a small number. I'm talking comparatively with the whole community, right? But then you've got the ones that believe in Islamist ideology, and you're talking at least 30% of the population believe that Sharia law, and it's actually higher than that. So the polling says between 30 and 40%. One of the Henry Jackson poll, if you actually read that correctly, I think the question was, what percentage of people say they actually very strongly don't want, this is one of the questions, they very strongly don't want Sharia in the UK out of the Muslim community. It was only 25% very strongly disagreed that they wanted Sharia law, okay? But the ones that said they definitely wanted it in that poll was 32%. In other polls, it's been 40%. In London, it seems to be pretty much consistently 40% of Muslims want some form of Sharia law. Does that mean full chopping off hands, stoning adulterers, killing apostates? Well, give them an inch to take a mile, I reckon. Just it's not worth the chance, is it? It's not worth the risk. So, and then you've got the moderates, okay, or the conservatives. So let's go for the conservative first. So people who believe in some form of conservative Islam, around 55% minimum, okay, and then you've got the moderates, 25% maximum. So that gives you an idea of the scale of the problem that we're facing. And the grooming gangs came very much from the sort of Barelvi tribal networks, okay? And the Barelvi tribal networks are the networks that the Labour Party plugged into. And the fellows at Rajmir, the guy from up in the northwest in Oldham, I think he's from, he's done some work on this. I didn't realize he'd done work on this. I've been doing my own work on this and trying to understand it, trying to get my head around it. Also, again, if I get any of this wrong, I apologize, because I'm learning myself. But what I'm trying to do is give this context and help people understand what we're up against here. And this is not, I've got to say that, I've got to always use this caveat. This is not an attack on all Muslims. It's not an attack on any Muslims. I'm just giving the stats and the facts as they've been published over the past 20 years with every single bit of polling that's been done, and also the facts when it comes to convictions of people for these specific crimes. And all you got to do is open the newspaper every time there's one of these big cases. There's not too many Billy Smiths from the Shankill Road involved in these attacks, or Fred Bloggs from London. Okay, it's always Mohammed or Abdul or Asif or whatever. Okay, that's just a fact. That's not me being bigoted or racist. So when you, and the reason I'm talking about that is I believe it's these actions, it's these crimes, it's the disrespect that's been shown to the indigenous British people by this one community, the arrogance, the supremacy, the supremacism of many in the Pakistani Muslim community against their fellow countrymen. If they call themselves British, they've got British passports, so we've got to, I mean, again, they're not British in the sense of the word I would call them British, but if they hold British passports, their fellow countrymen, let's say, the disrespect they've shown, the arrogance, the lack of remorse, and that's corporate, because there are some great Pakistani Muslims who have come out against this, but there's not a great deal of them. There's not a massive number of them. That's the truth. People like Lubna, people like Shohab, people like I think it's Rajmir, right? You know the guy I'm talking about. If I'm wrong on his name, let me know in the chat. Jane, thank you very much for that super chat. All of these help. All these helps, and these super chats are going to help as I move forward in what I'm trying to do, in trying to pivot and basically do this full time. Okay, so that I can bring the truth, because there's not a lot of people out there telling the truth because of the cancel culture. Because I know every single time I do a video, I'm walking a very fine line. And what I'm going to try and do in the new year is make what I do as bulletproof as possible. And I'm going to talk about this in the Northern Ireland context as well, because this is a very, very serious issue that we're facing here in terms of freedom of speech and in terms of cancel culture. And that's why I'm going to really push the UK freedom movement, as well as other things in the new year. But to do what I do, I need to be doing it full time, which means I basically need to be able to get an income from doing this. And there's different ways I can do that. And I'm going to, as much as I possibly can, pull all those levers, whether it's, selling products, whether it's doing different forms of membership for the different channels and so on and so forth. I'm going to pull those levers, and people can call me a grifter. People can say what they want. I don't really care what they say, because I'll account for everything that's happening. I'll be, publishing accounts and what have you. But that's what I'm going to do, because it's taking up so much of my time. The other business is struggling. I will keep the other business going because there's a few liabilities with the other business that I want to honor. I've got like a couple of loans and that sort of thing that I want to honor. I don't want to just I could just pull the plug on the other business and say, oh, well, walk away from it. But I've got a few clients that have been loyal to me, so I want to be loyal to them. And also, I've got a few liabilities that I want to. So that will continue to run, and I'll continue to put a small amount of time into that business. But the vast majority of time is going to be spent giving you guys what you need in terms of the news. Okay, my sister is having a 6-week stay in a centre where they can decide on the best care for her. I know that the prayers from this wonderful group have helped with getting this. I can't thank you all enough. Tish, that's fantastic. Guys, let's pray for Tish's sister once more. Let's pray for her once more. We prayed for her yesterday. Let's pray for her once more. And again, I'm going to still keep pushing the Christian side of things as well, because I think it's so important that we tell the truth, but we speak the truth. The Bible says speak the truth, but it says speak the truth in love. And I know the prayers are working for people in this group. And Tish, thank you so much for supporting us, and we will do everything in prayer. We're not God, we can't tell God what to do, but what we do know is that when people pray to God, God does something. It's not always what we exactly want, because God knows what he's doing more than we do. Yeah, but God is working in every single person's life that's on this channel, every single person. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's pray actually for Tish's sister. Father God, we bring Tish's sister before you once more, Lord, and we pray, Lord God, that you would just be close to her, that you would breathe your spirit into Tish's sister's life and body, and a soul and a brain and a spirit. Just give her comfort and give her peace, and just help her, Lord God, strengthen her in Jesus' precious name. Amen. And guys, pray for Tish's sister. Pray for everybody that you see in the comments that actually has a need, and there's loads of people have needs. That's why I always start with the scripture. And again, I want to give you a bit of a context about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because there's a lot. The other thing is there's a lot of sinister people on the margins of our, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll be honest with you, and I've spoke to the people about this that have, well, I haven't spoke to Andrew Gold, but I've spoke to other people that have given this guy a platform. And again, if I upset you in the comments, if you're a big fan of this guy, well, I've got to tell the truth as I see it. There's people getting platforms who are racists, anti-Semites on our side. And in my view, even though I believe in free speech, yes, I believe in free speech. If they want to have a voice, they can set up their own platforms. They can set up their own social media, which they have done, and they can just blast away and do their thing. But I don't want people on our side given the platforms. It's not my choice, because it's up to them. It's up to the people that have given the platforms, whether they want to give them the platforms or not. But I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake giving these guys platforms. We know what they believe. And my retort is always, would you have given Adolf Hitler a platform in the 1930s? Sorry, the 1920s, when he was a complete dweeb. Dangerous people, dangerous, inadequate little men, if they get power, can be extremely dangerous. Okay, and this fascism that is growing, and it's growing because of the DEI BS, because of the absolute disrespect for the white English by the state, by the middle, the white English working class, without a shadow of doubt. And this is where there's a little bit of truth followed with a whole lot of lies. So there's no doubt that to be a white Englishman, whether the perception is right, to be a white Englishman is perceived by us white Englishmen and Ulstermen and Irishmen and Scotsmen that we are at the bottom of the queue with everything. I wouldn't even know how to go and claim benefits, let alone how to get staying in a hotel free of charge for years, or being given a free house. I wouldn't know how to do that, right? And guess what? If my marriage broke up tomorrow and I end up out on the street on my backside, guess who's coming to help me? Guess what NGO's coming to help me? Nil, nothing. And it goes for everybody else in this chat. If you're a Brit that's, and even worse, veterans, look at the amount of veterans that suffer. And don't give me all this nonsense, oh, there's a safety net for veterans. No, there isn't. There's a lot of veterans fall through that safety net. They've got PTSD. They've got complex issues with mental health because of what happened to them when they were serving. And they end up with all sorts of problems. I was watching a documentary yesterday about Audie Murphy. Does anyone remember Audie Murphy? Well, I don't remember him. He died in 1971, right? I was like 3. But anyway, Audie Murphy was an American film star. And when he was, I think, 17, he tried to join the US Marines. Too small. He was a tiny little fella. He's about 5'5", tiny little guy, right? But he tried to join the US Marines, wouldn't let him in. Tried to join the Navy, wouldn't let him in. Tried to join the military, wouldn't let him in. Eventually, he forged his papers. He said he was 18 when he was only 17, and I think he managed to join a US infantry battalion. It wasn't like a Ranger, I don't think. It wasn't like the airborne or the Marines or the equivalent of the special forces back then. He was just an infantry soldier, right? Audie Murphy, okay, was, I think, the most decorated American soldier of World War II. He single-handedly killed 250 Germans on his own, okay? And why was Audie Murphy such a good soldier? He was such a good soldier because when he was a kid, both his parents died. Both his parents died. Or I think the father left maybe and the mother died or something like that. He was an orphan. And he had kids, he had brothers and sisters, little brothers and sisters. So Audie Murphy used to go out with a little rifle. I don't know, it was a Winchester or what it was. And he used to shoot rabbits and feed his siblings with the animals that he'd shot. So I'm sorry if I know the animal cruelty thing and all that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, I'm not a vegetarian, and I've shot a few animals in my time as well. But the thing with Audie Murphy, that's how he basically managed to get himself into a position where he was used to shooting things and killing things. So when he was killing Germans, he thought, they're worse than animals because they're like, doing all sorts of horrendous things. I don't think people really knew about the Holocaust and what was happening with the Jews in Europe, but we knew they were supremacists and they were trying to take over the world. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? I tell you, we're facing some difficult times. Yeah, there you go, Alan Saxton remembers Audie Murphy. He got I think he got the Congressional Medal of Honor. I think I get confused because do you know what? I read a whole lot of stuff about different people in the Second World War. There's one I'm reading at the minute. W.E. Fairbairn. Go and Google. Tell you what, guys, if you want to find out about a tough guy, right? We're all on about being resilient and being tough. Go and Google W.E. Fairbairn, right? And you'll find out about a tough guy. Google Audie Murphy as well. But Audie Murphy had PTSD, so he came through the war. He was a hero. I mean, the stuff he did, he was pinned down with some of his soldiers. He ended up he got a battlefield commission. He was pinned down with some of his soldiers, and he gets on the back of a tank on his own with a Browning heavy 50 caliber machine gun, and he just starts hosing them down. Like he just starts spraying the German lines and stops an advance that would have killed him and all his men, and again had a massive breakthrough. And yes, as Deb says, Audie Murphy, he made loads of Western movies, but he couldn't sleep because he had complex PTSD. Okay, and so many, and a lot of the other film stars. I think Kirk Douglas. I think Kirk Douglas was a soldier. I think Lee, could be wrong about that. Lee Marvin was definitely a soldier. Jimmy Stewart was a tail gunner or was a pilot in the US Air Force. So back then there was so many people that experienced that World War II conflict, and a lot of them had PTSD, and it was never diagnosed. But there's a lot of soldiers, and the military, even just military training, well, back when in my day when I joined up, was extremely tough and extremely robust, and damaged a lot of people. The violence, just the violence in the barrack room from time to time was extreme. Lads fighting against each other because you put a whole lot of aggressive young men into a pressure cooker, and there will be tear-ups with each other. There was sort of bullying. A lot of bullying goes on in the military. And again, when you've had terrorists trying to murder you when you're in your late teens, in Northern Ireland, as thousands of us did, there were thousands of people that were not really victims of terrorism, but had terrorists trying to kill them, and had friends killed and friends injured and friends killed in accidents. And all those things shape a man's psychology and the way he thinks. So there are still a lot of soldiers that are suffering whether it's PTSD, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I know there's a lot of soldiers suffer. Thankfully, I'm not one of them, but a lot of soldiers do suffer with problems from their service. And yet, these NGOs, these leftists, they would step over that soldier in the gutter, spit in his face, and go and help the Abdul from Afghanistan or Mohammed from Pakistan before they would help a soldier. And the government's the same. And how do we know? Because all we've got to do is see what they're doing. And that's why these extreme right-wing people that are anti-Semitic and are racist are getting so much traction. And it's because they put an argument forward which is a flawed and wrong argument, and we can prove it's flawed and wrong, because the first reason is it won't work what they're planning, because they want an ethno state which is I think 95 or 98% white. Okay, that's morally wrong, and it's logistically impossible, and the chaos it would cause, we would lose that one. You know, when Farage says that we'd lose if we had to stand up to Islam, Farage was wrong, because we will have to stand up to radical Islam in this country without a shadow of a doubt. We're going to have to stand up to radical Islam. We're going to have to stand up to Islamo-fascists and Islamic supremacists. And what we don't want is to be standing up to the. And the interesting thing is, a lot of the fascists are going on the Islamo-fascist channels. That's interesting, isn't it? Just watch. Just go onto social media and you find out. You'll find out. Exactly, Tish. How did we come to this? How did we come to this? So, yes, I believe in free speech. Yes, I believe that these far-right nutcases should be able to say whatever they want to say. I believe that they should have free speech. But my point is, to the people that are giving them a platform, I won't give them a platform on my channels, ever. Not because I don't believe in free speech, but because I don't believe in amplifying messages that I don't agree with. I've got too much, there's too much to be done in terms of promoting the right way of doing things instead of the wrong way of doing things. And what I find very objectionable is that these people have been given the same credibility as like Ben Habib or me. In fact, more credibility, because I don't get on the Andrew Gold show. But they're being given more credibility. I know what the answer is to the problems of this country. I know exactly how to fix it. I've told you all 100 times in my channels exactly what we need to do. And yet, Ben Habib is silenced. I'm going to play you a video in a minute about what happened to Tommy. I'm not sure when it was, but I think it's fairly recent. Ben Habib is cancelled from every single mainstream media outlet, including GB News and Talk TV. Absolutely disgraceful. It is wrong. It's morally wrong. It's dangerous for society. It's dangerous for our country, because Ben Habib is a moderate. Ben Habib's more moderate than Nigel Farage in many ways. And I mean that in a good way, because Nigel Farage is not only against freedom on the right for people to express their views, but he's against people even joining his party that have been involved in other right-wing parties. So, Tice and Farage call us that lot, whereas what Ben has got big tent civic nationalism. He says, come on in. If you agree with our policies, join the party. Doesn't mean that we have to agree with what your policies are. In other words, Ben's not going to agree with everything I say, because I'm just a member of the party. I'm not forming policy. I'm not speaking for Advance UK. But if you look at Ben, he is a cultural Christian. In other words, he believes in cultural Christianity. He's not saying he's not saying he's born again. He's not a crazy fanatic like I am. But he's saying he's a cultural Christian, and he's promoting what I think we could call big tent civic nationalism, which basically brings the vast majority of people in the UK along with it. And guess what? In a democracy, the only way you can win is if you bring the vast majority of the UK population with you. And that's why we've developed the pledge. And I want to push the pledge once more. I'm going to start doing a lot of work on the pledge. Again, I am going to need help to do all this sort of stuff. I'll be brutally honest with you. But the pledge I'm going to drop this in the. I'm going to drop this in the stream here, guys. Okay, because I just think it's just reminding everybody about the pledge. Okay, there you go. Let me get rid of the Men of England for now, and let's get the pledge in there. So there we go, thepledge.org.uk. If you haven't signed the pledge, can I ask every single one of you to sign the pledge? And there's the summary of the pledge there. Our pledge is to stand for freedom, equality under the law, real democracy and family. Build a peaceful, prosperous and patriotic society. Reclaim our nation's identity, its Christian traditions, culture and values. Give courage and hope to the British people and resist tyranny. Now, the reason I'm back in Advance is because I believe Advance reflects those values. Okay. And what I would suggest everybody does, if we're all going to go to the march on the 16th of May, right? Then I suggest we say to everybody that's going to the march, well, people are going to try and discredit us. People are going to try and tell all sorts of lies about the people who are going to those marches. Well, what I would suggest is everybody signs the pledge that's going to go to that march. And I'll tell you why. Because how can people turn around and say to people who've signed something, and that is a moderate document, that is not an extremist document. Look at some of the stuff in the pledge. I'm making a stand for British people, our freedom, our family, our home. What's wrong with that? I believe in the values of freedom, equality under the law, real democracy and family, the cultural inheritance with which I've been blessed. I stand with all those who strive to build a peaceful, prosperous and patriotic society. So when people say that we're doing our marches, we're looking for violence, no. We're standing with all those who strive to build a peaceful, prosperous and patriotic society, irrespective of colour or creed. I believe in the sovereignty of the individual over their own lives and bodies. I believe in the unity and territorial integrity of the UK. So basically what that means is that we believe in the whole of the UK, including Northern Ireland, and we believe that we want to get Brexit done. This is what the pledge is about. And I believe that these are values that are absolutely shared by Advance UK. I believe the government's role is to protect the rights and freedoms of its own people. How could anyone not sign that? I reclaim my Christian heritage, culture, and values. Christianity is what made this country great. It's not our genetics, it's not our ethnicity, it's Christianity. And that's where I disagree with the ethnonats. Christianity, the British, I guess if you like, the Reformation type Protestant Christianity, the moderate Protestant Christianity of the United Kingdom is what made the United Kingdom great. And then it says this, and this is a key. If you sign this document, okay, it says this: I stand against all extremism, including racism, anti-Semitism, and anti-British bigotry. So that means we're standing against the extreme, crazy, fascist, Nazi type ethnonats. We're standing against the Islamo-fascists. We're standing against the far left who hate white British people. We're standing for the people of the UK from whatever creed or colour. And then it says, an anti-British bigotry and seek to oppose those who would see our way of life and laws eradicated. And that's what's happening. That's what our current government is doing. Our current government is trying to eradicate everything good and everything that we believe in. I'm just going to pop my head in there so you're not just looking at a screen of a whole lot of text. 404 people watching this. Yeah, guys, someone could do me. If I'll do it myself, actually, I'm just going to drop the domain in the chat here, guys. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, two things there, guys. Do me a favor. If you're watching this on the Richard Inman channel, if you're watching this on the Richard Inman channel, would you dive across and subscribe to Counter Media on YouTube? Yeah, that'd be really great. And if you're watching it on Twitter as well, because this always goes live on Twitter. If you're watching it on Twitter, if you could dive off Twitter onto Counter Media UK on YouTube and sign up to that channel. Now, again, and this is all, everything I'm doing. Here's the crazy thing about this, right? I know that I am being targeted by the state, right? I know that. I know the state are watching me. That's not me being paranoid. I know they're watching me, okay? And I know if I put one foot wrong, they'll kick my door in, they'll drag me away, and they'll throw away the key. Now, I'm never going to say anything that's going to incite violence. If anyone's watched any of my output since 2015, I have always been completely opposed to violence. That's always been my mantra, and it still is. Do I think violence will happen? I think if we don't win in the next general election, when I'm talking about I'm talking about Advance UK. If Advance UK don't win in the next general election, I think there's a very good chance that violence will happen. But if people have signed the pledge and we make the pledge a massive block, bigger than any political party. See, the pledge, we've got about 70,000. I'm going to say something as well. I'm going to call people out, and I'm not going to name them, but there are people who have attacked the pledge, okay? And they've attacked the pledge either because they don't like me, because they know I'm intimately involved in it, or they are stupid, or they have their own agenda that is against those values. Simple as that. That's the only reasons that people could attack the pledge. So the ethno-nats have attacked it. People have got a personal beef with me have attacked it, and people that are stupid have attacked it. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say. But that's the truth. So let's keep going through this. Stand against all racism, anti-Semitism, and anti-British bigotry. That's really important in that because how can any media outlet, how can the police, how can the state, how can politicians say that the Unite the Kingdom movement, which supports the pledge, by the way, Tommy supports all this. So I think it's still on Tommy's website, the link to the pledge. Okay. I think we've got about 70,000 people that have signed up. Probably when we take the duplication out, it's probably sitting around 60,000, something around there. But we've got, which is decent. Okay. But we need more. We need more people signed up to it. I'm going to look and I'm going to chat to the other people involved in the pledge in the new year and talk about how we can actually make this work better than it's working. Because to me, we should have 1 million people signed up to this document. This is. I genuinely believe this is what everybody believes. I'm going to keep going through this. I'm going to go right the way through all of these points. I stand against the so-called progressive ideologies like critical race theory that spread division and hatred, erode our freedoms, and damage the fabric of society. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about the DEI quotas. What is it? Diversity, equity, inclusion. It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound wonderful? Diversity, equity, inclusion. What a load of BS. And this is where people get triggered. And I get triggered, but I'm going to be honest with you. When I see an advert, when I see probably 80% of adverts on my television screen or on YouTube, right? And in England, which is supposed to be an 80% white country, yeah? When I see those adverts deliberately stuffed with transgender people, people from various different ethnic minorities, to the extent that there's maybe one very camp-looking Englishman in the whole advert. When I see that, I find that annoying, and I am not in any way racist. If anyone knows me, they know that's not what ticks my box or makes me tick. But that really boils me up because I'm going, they're doing that deliberately. They're literally, the people who are making these adverts are literally rubbing the British indigenous people's faces in it. Okay. And that's wrong. And that's where this comes from. It comes from critical race theory. It comes from DEI nonsense. And again, you see these spokesmen that they bring onto the likes of, here's the thing, right? GB News. They have people like Novara Media on there, right? I've seen Novara Media, they always wheel out Aaron Bastani. Now, Aaron Bastani is very articulate, very intelligent. He's an excellent communicator. But I've seen some of their other output guys. And I suggest you go and look them up. Have a look at their output. Have a look at the people they have on there. Ash Cigar, or whatever her name is, who said on GB News she literally is a communist. I think Owen Jones is on there as well. Some really, really bad people with really bad messaging are on there. And yet Bastani gets on GB News which is meant to be a right-wing channel, and Ben Habib doesn't. Go figure that one out, eh? Work that one out. Ben Habib was the first politician to publicly, in fact, I know some other politicians. I think Nick Tenconi signed the pledge, and then dished it, then insulted it, signed it, and because things weren't going his way, he suddenly decided to turn on the pledge, and that's another story. That's a really, really unpleasant character, that, I tell you. Anyway, but the pledge is a massively important document. So we'll keep going. I claim my right to speak freely without fear and reject accusations of hate and all legislation used to silence me or prevent the scrutiny of ideas. Look at all this stuff. This is what will actually help and save our country. I want to go back to that other one. I stand against the so-called progressive ideologies like critical race theory that spread division and hatred, erode our freedoms, and damage the fabric of society. I reject the intimidation and violence of divisive activist groups, the mainstream media, the government, and the misuse of corporate power. I believe we must all be equal before the law and stand against the totalitarianism of fundamentalist Islam and the practice of Sharia law. I think we'd all agree with that. I reject mass and illegal immigration and want to see it stopped. I reject outside interference from supranational bodies like the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the EU, and unaccountable judges and quangos. I encourage respectful dialogue and speak up for the truth, common sense, and the civil rights of all citizens. I believe in a prosperous, independent, and secure UK and prioritize affordable housing for young people, farming and food and energy security. I reject the net zero ideology. Every single farmer should be signing this. Every single young person should be signing this. Every single person that believes in freedom, every single person that voted for Brexit should sign the pledge. Simple as that. And I'm going to push this more and more this year. I stand to protect the innocence of children. I will work to stop. Now, we've had to do you know what? Even having what I'm going to say here, in the pledge, got the pledge blocked by certain mobile phone carriers. I don't know if it still is. I'm not going to say name which ones. But because we said, I'll work to stop transgender activists and their efforts to mutilate the minds and bodies of generations of children, I will expose grooming and paedophilia. Because that was said in the text, we had to blank it out there. It basically, we got hit with a strike. And we got cancelled from certain mobile phone carriers. You couldn't make this up. This is how crazy our world is, guys, right? This is how crazy. So if you haven't signed it, please sign it. Please share it. We want to get this out there to as many people as we possibly can. It's the pledge. I did one of my little AI songs called "The Pledge is for the People." Okay, absolutely right. This guy's absolutely right. If people don't wake up now, it's no good crying wolf later. I am not boasting, right? But I have been screaming about this stuff from the rooftops for 10 years. I've been saying exactly the same as what the pledge says for 10 years. The first mission statement I wrote for the incident, I didn't write the pledge, but my friend, I'm not going to name her because I don't think he wants to be named, but a friend of mine wrote the pledge, but I worked on the ideas behind the pledge. And I've promoted those ideas for many, many years. Ian, I really appreciate that, my brother. That's what we need. We need everybody to become evangelists for the pledge, for the UK freedom movement, and obviously Advance UK. We can do all three. And Tommy's Unite the Kingdom movement. These are and there's the Christian element to this, as you all know, guys. Wow, which link isn't working? The UK Freedom Movement one. Let's have a look. Let me double check. Now it works on a browser, but this is the problem. If you're looking at that on certain phones have blocked that. Let me just try that on this phone here. See if I can get that. And it's because the mobile carriers are blocking it because we mentioned the P word and we mentioned and when I'm talking about the P word, I'm talking about PDF files. And we mentioned transgender. And that's why they blocked it. You couldn't make it up. You really couldn't make it up. Let's just have a look. Sorry, I'll check this on my phone. Sorry, that's not going to work because I spelled it wrong. Okay. Pledge.org.uk. Oh no, it's working on my phone, so that must have been fixed, guys. Okay, unless it's a cached version. But I know some phones it doesn't work. Let me know actually what carrier you're trying to see that on. Sue, let me know what carrier you're trying to see that on. But I'll put it in there again. So guys, do me a favor. Everybody try this. Everybody click on that link. Sorry, copy that link. Just copy it as exactly as it is. And it should open on Google. If you just type that into Google, if you're on a desktop and you type that into Google, it should open on Google. Is that working for you, Fixed Bayonets? Is that working for you, brother? But isn't that crazy? If that's what we need to do, if we need to, yeah, I actually am. So I know that is a problem, isn't it? This is why I've got so much going on, guys, because I am in charge of the emails on the pledge, and I'm, that's why there's hardly any emails ever go out from the pledge, and I'm going to start doing more of that as well. And there's so many things I'm going to do in the new year, but you see what it is with the pledge. We don't really need to. Yeah, Sue, please do try it on a laptop, Sue. And just make sure you typed it right, because I know that obviously that was that's probably copied from. Anyway, okay, guys, I'm going to look at a news story very quickly that popped up yesterday. It's Tommy up in Bradford. I don't know the context of this. I haven't spoke to him, but again, if this was a person being denied the right to drink in a pub because they were Asian, because they were black, because they were left wing, there would be a scandal. It would be everywhere. But Tommy's, well, I'll show you the video. I think this is disgusting. I think it's absolutely wrong what's happened here.
Okay. What for? Just because I'm just telling you I'm not getting right.
Yeah, for what reason? I'm minding my own business. I'm with a group.
Okay.
I'm not too keen on having you in my pub.
Okay, why?
Okay.
What for?
Just because I'm just telling you I'm not getting right.
Yeah, for what reason? I'm minding my own business. I'm with a group.
Yeah.
There's no trouble.
But I'm from Luton. I know exactly who you are.
Yes, what does that mean? What's the problem with me? You've got a man convicted of murder in there. You've got a man convicted of murder in there.
The problem is that I don't want you in my pub. It's that simple. I'm asking you to go wherever you want. Okay. I'm not going to ruin your night, but I don't want you in my pub. Okay. It's that simple.
I'll finish my drink. And mate, what's your name? What's your name? Tell me your name.
I don't need to tell you my name.
I'll find your name. I'll find your name. Mate, I'm minding my own business, yeah? You've got a convicted murderer in there. Yes, so why do I have to leave your pub?
I'm having a conversation.
So why do I have to leave your pub?
I'm having a
What's your rules then? What's your rules then?
I literally said to you.
Tell me the reason. Tell me the reason what you disagree.
I don't need a reason. Okay. You know that.
Okay.
I'm the landlord.
Yes.
It's my pub.
Yeah.
If I'm asking you to leave,
yeah.
I'm asking you to leave because I don't feel that you need to be in my pub.
Okay.
And I'm telling you can go wherever else you want.
Okay.
That's it.
And give me the reason.
I don't need a reason.
Okay, well you will.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't need a reason.
Okay. Mate, wait, bruv. I don't ask you.
That's fine. It's no point going on and on.
Where are you from, Luton? What's your name?
Apparently you're going to find out anyway.
Of course I'll know. By tomorrow.
Then find out.
And if you want me to leave, if you want me to leave the pub, you make me leave the pub. You make me leave the pub. You make me leave the pub. Come in and make me leave the pub. Come on, mate. Come in and make me leave the pub.
Listen.
No, I'm not making threats. He's making threats to me. I'm sitting here. I bought a bottle here.
Just telling us, make me leave.
I'm telling him. Yeah. I've got a bottle of drink there. I paid £200. I paid £100 for my bottle of drink.
Finish the drink. Nobody's
Ask you. I give you
Didn't ask me.
I asked you to come for a conversation.
Yeah. So I've come for the conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't threaten you. I didn't do anything.
So what I'm telling you is, so I've done nothing wrong. I'm minding my own business. So what's the reason? So
Do you know what, guys? I'm looking at that guy there. I'm looking at that guy there. What a mess. I mean, look at the state of the geezer, right? You know, he's and then his little bouncer lackey, you know, flexing and then saying they're going to call the police. I mean, you know, by the way, I've just looked at that pub. It's not the sort of establishment I'm going to drink in. If I'm ever in Bedford, I won't be going anywhere near it. And I would just, brilliant. SD-DH3HP. Thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, share the pledge everywhere with people that you know and love and get them to sign it, because we've got to win this. If we don't win this, we're going to have ethno-nats, communists, Islamists tearing this country to pieces, and obviously the globalists. And that's what we're about. We're about stopping that happening. We are the good guys, okay? The Unite the Kingdom movement, Advance UK, the Pledge, the Christian Revival. We are on the right side of history 1,000,000%. And I believe we'll win, but we won't win if we all sit on our asses and don't do anything, okay? And that's why I've literally given my life for this. Okay, I'm not saying I'm dead. I'm not saying I'm going to be dead. But in terms of time, I don't really socialize. I don't go out. I don't go drinking. I don't go partying. I don't go to anything, right? I do this. Makes me a bit of a boring whatever, okay? But this is what I do. I'm not doing anything else. I'm promoting Christianity. I'm promoting the Pledge. I'm promoting Advance UK. I'm promoting a political way through this. I'm doing street demonstrations. This is my life. And that might sound sad for some people, but it's not, because I know that what I'm doing is the most important thing that I could do with my life. Okay? And it does take up all of my time. And all I'm asking people to do is sign the pledge, join Advance UK, sign up. I'm going to put the UK Freedom Movement in here as well, guys, because I want you to sign up to that too. Again, the UK Freedom, I think we've got about UK, just bear with me. There we go. Here we go, UK Freedom Movement. I'll put this domain in here as well. Again, guys, if you haven't signed the UK, join the UK Freedom Movement, please do that. But let's have a listen to the rest of this.
Put a sign outside your pub saying. Put a sign outside your pub saying what reason I'm not. So what's the reason? What's the reason?
Because I don't want you in my
So what's the
pub.
reason?
That's the reason.
Okay.
I don't want you in my pub.
So what's the reason?
That's the reason. I don't want you in my pub.
Ain't no disrespect to you, because I know it's nothing to do with you. But you've got your job to do.
It's not like we have an
Hold on, what?
It's alright, we had the word.
He hasn't given a reason for he doesn't want me in his pub. For no reason.
What?
He's got drug dealers in him. He's got convicted murderers in him.
Who's the convicted murderer?
There's one in here. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. By the end of the day, we know. I can. If he's convicted murder, I can call the police.
But why? Why? He's done his time.
He's done his time. Just say that. I'm gonna call.
You do it then, bro. Call the police first. Call the police.
100%.
Call the police first.
I'll say government decides that.
Say what you want, mate.
I'm gonna say yeah.
What's your name?
That doesn't matter. What's my name?
So, yeah. Again, I mean, you know, I'll certainly not be gracing that establishment with my presence ever. Not that I'm in Bedford anyway, but yeah. So guys, this is what we need to do. We know that this is what I find so frustrating. We've got a plan. We know what the plan is. We know what to do. We know how to do it, and yet people aren't doing it. People are not doing it. Okay. And I know everyone on here is committed to this. I know vast majority of people that follow me and watch me on this channel on a regular basis, you guys are committed to this. But we need to broaden this tent out. We need to bring people in. We need to get people, David, you may well have signed it, mate, but it doesn't do any harm to sign it again. What we'll do, we'll dedupe the database before we start sending emails out again on that. I'm going to try and start sending emails out to these two databases on a fairly regular basis, because again, you know, we need to up our game, and I'm going to start trying to do more videos if that's possible. I'm doing one every day. I think the only day I'm not doing videos is Saturday, but we've got to do it, guys. Okay, I'm giving you your freedom of speech. What's happening? Why Advance UK not going to win? Just give me a reason. People would have said that about Reform UK before the last general election, and Reform are now sitting on 30% of the polls. And guess who was one of the architects of Reform UK getting to where they were? It was Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe. So sorry, mate, whoever you are, we are going to do it. And I tell you what, if we win the general election, you buy me a pint, and if you're right and we don't win, I'll buy you a pint. How's that? What happening? 5-3-2-3. Okay. Do you get through people? What I just get out of? I can't understand. I don't understand what they're saying. Have just signed UK Freedom Movement. It was sent to my spam box. Okay, that's pretty normal for stuff. Just if you just accept that, unspam it or whatever you have to do in your spam box. That happens quite a lot. Done it through Google. Just sign it again. LOL. It doesn't do any harm to sign it. Yeah, so let's keep this going, guys. Let's keep this going. If you go into at the minute, I mean, I'm going to probably change this as we go on. I'm going to try and change this as we go on so that people can just pay. We'll set up an account so that people can pay money direct into a bank account. At the minute, PayPal's probably the best bet. But again, there's PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee. The links, I'm not sure if the Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description, but certainly PayPal's links are in the description. So if you go into the description of this video, just down below, it says how to support us. You can go on there. You can obviously support us through super chats and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to try and do is have a bank account that people can just pay money directly into. So that should be, hopefully we'll get that set up within a month. But at the minute, do it through PayPal, and I can pick it up once it comes through PayPal. And thanks very much, Shirley, for supporting us. It is massively needed, and I'm massively grateful for what we're going to do. It would take a lot of people to sing "Where Are the Men of England" with a chorus of no. Do you know what? I think if we're going to sing "Where Are the Men of England," we don't sing the Tommy tune in it. We just sing "Where Are the Men of England." Much as I don't mind the Tommy tune. I think it's great fun. But I think with the Men of England, in fact, I tell you what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to close this off because I've gone on longer than I should have done. Thank you everybody for being on here, and thanks everybody for doing what you're doing. But let me just put the Men of England here. And then I'm going to close everything off after this.
Those heroes brave and bold, where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all and stood for faith and love, the men who looked to guidance from the Father up above. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? When rapists so depraved took the daughters of our nation, who forever they enslaved? What of the men of England that looked the other way? They took the country shilling, they never made their play. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth? and vice squad, they all seem quite amused, as at the hands of rape gangs our daughters were abused. The politicians blamed the lads who stood up one and all, but most of all blamed Tommy, who always took the fall. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land.
This morning, my friends, I asked a question. This morning. I said, where are the men of England? You're here! You're here! You're here!
Well, again, just thank you all. Thank every single person that's supporting what I'm trying to do. I think you all know what I'm trying to do. And again, guys, I've been through the fires. A lot of it of my own making. I'll be honest with you. A lot of my problems have been self-generated. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I've certainly been through a lot of the fires of tribulation in the last few years. And I thank everybody on this channel, everybody that follows this channel, that knows that I'm a flawed, like all of us are, flawed, broken human being that God's working through. And I just thank everybody that's been supporting me, and it's particularly the moderators. I thank Farty Pants and I, Haggis and Claire and Bess. And yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up with you all soon for sure. And but we'll keep doing this. We'll keep doing these shows. And I just want to encourage everybody that we can win this. You know, there's a guy put a comment in there earlier on, Advance aren't going to win. Okay. He's obviously got a crystal ball and he can tell what's going to happen in the next 3 years. Believe you me, there's going to be that much happening in the next few years that people are going to be begging for a genuine political solution and reform. And look at what we've got. Look at what we've got. The Pledge, Advance, UK Freedom Movement, Unite the Kingdom, Tommy, Ben Habib, our amazing pastors and vicars that have come on board to support us. No, Linda, not 7:30 tomorrow. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock until probably Wednesday of next week when I've got to do the school run. So I'll do an earlier one. Wednesday and Thursday will be earlier, 7 or half 7, depending on when I can get booted out of bed by my wife. Yeah, and then 8 o'clock the other days of the week. Guys, bless you all. I've got to go. I know you've all got stuff to do. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's keep fighting this. Let's keep winning. And again, thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for people that are helping with what we're trying to do. And let's just keep doing this. See you all soon, guys. We need God to give us. Yeah. Well, do you know what? I think we've got the plan there. Do you know what, Matt? The plan's there, brother. We just need, everybody needs to join Advance, and everybody needs to support them and start promoting them and evangelizing for them. And all the YouTubers need to as well. All the YouTubers need to get behind Advance and start pushing Advance UK, because they are the only option. They're the only solution to our problems. Impartiality. I'm not impartial. I do believe in freedom of speech, but I'm not impartial. What I believe is that we need to keep pushing Advance UK, keep pushing the pledge, keep pushing UK freedom movement, keep pushing Unite the Kingdom, keep pushing all these things. And yeah, we'll get there. See you all soon, guys.